Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 78. Oh, no, not 78, Mark. I'm going back in time. 79. This is round 89. My goodness, what am I doing? Wow, we're having so much fun. I know, 89. Wow, Mark, we've almost been doing this 3 years.
Holy.
But this is the video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, joined by the wonderful, the charming, the Mark Carabin.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Court for that one. Wonderful and charming. I didn't know.
Take it.
You landed on me. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, thanks. How you doing?
Very, very good. And then joined by a very special guest, one that I have, he's friends with friends. So what do you do when you have friends? You become friends. And that is Mr. Court Lalonde, host of Three Dads Podcast, Xbox A, and Carpool Gaming. Court, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I was very happy to take this invitation to come on the show. Honestly, I'm looking at the Mandalorian helmet. It's just, I want it.
Well, we'll have to get you on Holocron Chronicles and talk Star Wars for a bit too.
Yeah, I've only got to watch one episode because I'm a parent, and I've only watched one episode of Obi-Wan. The second episode was supposed to be tonight, and I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I haven't even got to watch the second episode yet. People are like, what? I'm like, well, when you have kids, you get like an hour. Like the kid goes to bed, and I have an hour. So there's been Stranger Things. There's also the new Harry Potter just hit Crave. So I'm just like, oh, Jesus.
I was going to watch that tonight, but I'm here.
See?
Well, the good news.
My wife and I didn't know
podcasting, Harry Potter, Dumbledore.
All of a sudden it's on Crave. I'm like, what?
I know.
The good news is Obi-Wan episode 2 is only like 30 minutes long if you cut out the credits and the before stuff. So just your 30 minutes, you're good to go. So you got extra free time.
I can't wait. My wife was like, oh, we're going to go back into Stranger Things. I'm like, no, we're finishing Obi-Wan. If you don't want part of this, I will watch it without you. Because we've also got like Miss Marvel coming out, what?
Oh, yeah.
Really quick.
This week.
Really soon.
This week?
That's
this week?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The reviews of all of it came out today. Phenomenal, by the way. I saw them. Sorry, I'm a nerd. It's my fault.
Well, this is what we do when we have guests on this show. They eventually come on our other shows, so this is perfect. So we are very happy to have a fellow nerd on, a fellow Canardian, as we would say. But we like to get to know our hosts, our guests a little bit better. So we play a game of buy, rent, or return. If you are familiar with the rental stores of days past, similar to E3, they've all gone away. But we used to rent games. Yeah, we used to rent games, and I'm not sure what the equivalent Canadian version, but Blockbuster or Video or things like that.
Yeah, we had Blockbuster. For here in Ontario, we had Jumbo Video. Blockbuster came after the fact, and we had Video 99. But and they give you the popcorn. Oh man, I miss video stores. And that's how you could like Super Nintendo games. Like that's how I played every game. And then when like the PlayStation 3 came out, if you wanted a platinum trophy, you just go to Rogers Video, rent the game, return it, rent the next one, just boom, boom, boom. All those plats just pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, if you're me, you're a poor kid, you rented a Genesis for a weekend, and I think you need like a credit card deposit. Your parents,
and it comes in that huge case.
Oh yeah, like almost like a briefcase.
Yeah,
so awesome. And then I'd play like cyber baseball and some bad games. But that's what we did. But in this version of the game, we have a different topic every week, and for this one, this is Mark's idea. So Mark, I'm going to give it to you.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're going to be talking about some. Not E3 predictions because E3 is not going to happen this year, but there'll still be some fun stuff going on this summer that we'll get into later. But right now for Buy Rent Return, I wanted to look back at some of the worst conferences and like maybe not specific to E3, but like stuff that the game companies, the major game companies have pitched and maybe didn't stick the landing. And they're remembered not up there with like the best reveals, but maybe some of these are bottom of the barrel. But it's fun to look back at disasters, I think. So with that in mind, I don't even know. Like I guess best of the worst. So pick one to keep around, watch repeatedly, I suppose, because it's
is it like the worst is the one you're buying? I don't know, Mark. This is a little different.
Yeah, I'll let you guys decide how you want to play this. Like if you want to keep the worst one or return it or whatever. So pick the one you're going to buy, and buy in this means like, I guess you like it the best or something, or there's some redeeming quality to it. Yeah. Rent means you're going to watch that conference once. You're going to have a laugh, and then you'll never be able to watch it again. And then return is just this should be forgotten. Let's just bury this, get rid of it, light it on fire,
this is
salt
easy.
the bones, and get, torch it. So we've got 2008 Wii music reveal. Ravi drums, just awkwardness all around. Fantastically bad show. 2013, we got Xbox One, TV, and one more time for the people in the back, TV.
Way before its time.
Yeah, it was 100%. I can't agree with you more. Way before its time. But watching that, I remember watching that and just being like, "Why? What are they doing here? This is they're." It was so close, but a swing and a miss. And then 2006, we're going back to PlayStation 3's not quite reveal. They revealed the console in 2005 with the weird boomerang controller and some awkwardness there. That could have been the one, but we're focusing on 2003's super awkward E3 reveal with a follow-up article with Sony saying you should get a second job.
Followed by, in Canada, the thing was $5.99.
Oh yes, I was just going to say. So during their E3 conference, they revealed such amazingness as the crazy price. They came in so cocky for this one. That was the next generation doesn't start until we say it does. That's a year after everyone else came out. Started, boys. Let's go.
Xbox 360 trounced them until the end. Yes.
2006 mark. So that would have been 2006. And don't forget historical battles with giant crabs and Ridge Racer. I mean, many Racer. Memorable things. Yes.
My favorite is the talking to fans and the quote of "I like the hard plastic and the little knobby bits," as the man steered a fake controller around. That is an actual quote from an actual E3 press conference. Go back and watch these. There's some highlights. IGN does a great highlight one. We maybe include that in the show notes. Anyway, fellas, I've been rambling. Pick your favorite court. What's your
I believe it or not, I would Wii Music I would rent. Even though the Xbox One was the one console that I bought and physically returned.
Wow.
Physically returned it. And got my money back over at EB Games. It was I bought that and the PlayStation 4, and there was no way I was going to keep that Xbox One. There was just, the games weren't there. The extremely long load times and loading in the game, so on and so forth. But the conference, I would buy it over the PS3, which I would return, because that 2006 conference of PlayStation, as someone that loved his PlayStation and was made an Xbox 360 player, all based on what they did. For Canadians, everything costs more. So for us to buy a game right now, it's $90. And when they bring out they brought out the Gotham Knights thing, and they were like, "Oh, everybody's like, oh, it's $2.99 in the US." I'm like, yeah, it's $4.99 Canadian.
Yeah,
that's no. That's just no. And when you do the actual conversion, it shouldn't be that way. But the gaming companies are like, but you'll pay for it. So when the PlayStation 3 was announced and the pricing was announced, and it was this giant monolith, people think the PS5 was a monolith. The PS3 was a monolith, and it looked weird. Wow. It was just not going to happen. There was no way. It was kind of funny. The EB Games and I lived at Yonge and Eglinton at the time, and the Best Buy there was huge. For midnight launches and stuff, was one of the biggest ones in Toronto. For the midnight launch of the PS3, there was 2 people in line.
Oh, jeez.
No one cared. Everybody was just okay, the 360 already was out. Everybody was playing Call of Duty on the 360. That was when Call of Duty just started peaking, and Assassin's Creed both peaking at the exact same time, and you could already get them on the 360. Yes, the PS3 was a Blu-ray player, but it wasn't worth $5.99. Nope.
Yeah, so it's funny when you said that. It was funny when you said that the US had the $4.99 and the $5.99 version, which the only difference was hard drive size, I believe. So
that was 20 versus 60 at launch.
Yeah, and it was always funny because they had Spider-Man on the back of it, and I'm like, there's no game that comes with this.
The font.
This is
They stole the font. That was about it. Todd, where are you going with these?
Oh wow! You know what? We're going with buying the one we think is worth saving. So I'm. You know what? I will keep the Xbox One. I will buy that. Although, yeah, it was the mix of all of those things, not focusing on games. They were essentially the market leader in North America. Exactly. They had Rise where you tell people to shoot arrows. And I mean, so it was just all in one. They were going all in on everything but games. And that was kind of the misdirect where, everybody screws up the second success, right? It's like they get cocky and think they can do anything. It's just like PS2 to PS3. Same thing here. So it was but you know what, where they were going, all the cool things, they just had a mess up in marketing and all these things and communicating. Always focus on games when you have gamers. Don't focus on anything else.
I also believe the console wasn't ready for what they wanted it to do. The fact that like when you Master Chief, I remember I bought it and bought Master Chief Collection, and like 3 hours later the thing finally was installed onto the hard drive, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, like it was a bad generation for hardware. It was not very good hardware.
But the PS4 was still killer. Like it had the killer app, which is first party games. That's their killer app. Their killer app was games. The fact that when you got a PS4, you had Resogun, and that game was amazing.
Hell yeah.
Like, come on. Like that was, so you could continuously play that game, and you had Black Flag, which you could, Assassin's Creed, anytime there's a console launch, just grab an Assassin's Creed game. So you had Black Flag, which was also available on the Xbox, but it didn't take forever to load into they just made it better. And the Xbox One, I love my Series X. I have a PS5 and I have 2 Series X's, and the Series X is my go-to console. 100%. My PS5 is for only first party games. The Series X is a better console. It's just a better console, but that's the console that they needed for that conference.
Absolutely.
It didn't exist.
Even the Xbox One X was such a vast improvement.
Yep.
Even the One S was, Mark. The One S was a much better console. Yeah. Slimline, quiet, had a 4K Blu-ray drive, or was it just a 4K Blu-ray drive? I think so. Yeah, it was a 4K Blu-ray.
It was 4K Blu-ray, and it didn't.
And Sony didn't even have one.
Yeah, it wasn't 50 pounds.
No. Yeah. And it was cheaper too. I mean, so it was like they finally got it, and the Xbox One X was more powerful, but the Xbox One S was like, this is how you build a console for the masses, and that's where I think Series S wouldn't exist without that Xbox One S and how popular
they learned so much that they've put into this generation, and you can really tell.
Plus One X, I don't even know how many that sold, but definitely not even on par with the One S, which is
oh god, no, that was such an experiment. That was just to show off, but
even the S,
kind of a half step.
I had even the S I had it. I upgraded to an X. Someone else had an X, and we did a little switcheroo, and I paid the difference so I could have the X up in the office. But I don't think they're going to make another S. I think that's it. This S is it, because the dongle is coming. The little box that is coming, and I think they're just they'll sunset the S for this little thing. I truly believe it, because you're going to have
that's a tough sell though, because you've got
because you're going to have
you got $500 or cloud, and people have shitty internet. I just don't think.
But you're going to have well, not in Canada they don't, but
rural Minnesota, like a half hour from my house, the internet you get, if you're lucky, to get 10 megabytes per second.
But that's
not a gaming experience.
The X will be the cheaper version, because you're going to have whatever. Like I joke, it's going to be called the XL because they're going to have a new there's going to be a PS5 Pro, and there's going to be a super duper Xbox. So your X is going to be your regular Xbox, and they'll knock it down $100, and that's the same price as the S. So what do you need the S for?
I love that you just said super duper Xbox, because I've been waiting for the super duper Nintendo
that'll never hit, but that's Nintendo. They don't need to do that.
Yeah. Someone needs to come up with a super duper console though. We've had Super Nintendo. Like, where's the super duper Nintendo?
Yeah. I still think the perfect name is the Xbox XL. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the XL. It's extra.
I like the Mega Rad. console. Come on, like the Mega Drive goes something like
but
that.
yeah, because think about it. If they get our super duper consoles, then your smaller ones, your PS5, you do the Slim. I don't know how you do that in a Slim. Like, that thing is a beast. But your Xbox Series X is already small. It's not a big console. So then you knock $100 off the MSRP, and there's your S. You don't need an S anymore, right? You've got if you need a digital only, you've got your little whatever it's going to be, a box, a puck, or whatever it's going to be. And then you have your X, and then your Xbox XL. I don't know. That's just my theory right now.
Yeah,
it just makes anything can go, man. Especially with supply chains and everything. Although I'd say with supply chains, I don't think anybody's doing anything because I think they're lucky to get any chips they get versus making.
That's what
variants.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you're because the S isn't as I was seeing S's everywhere, and now when I go to stores, you don't see them. So
really? That's all I see. I've never seen an X. All I see is S's. I see multiple S's. I see as many S's as switches. I think for them, that's a no-brainer because it gets people in door.
Yep,
$300 gets them in Game Pass. I don't think Game Pass without a S, I don't think people are in the door because you've got to get that system on the shelf that gets people playing it. I think with cloud, I think $15 to play cloud games for Xbox is too much for the masses. So I just don't. I think, and we're probably getting off track. So yeah, I think there's more there on the vine. So
for my picks to get us back a little bit on track, I am going to, you know what? I'm going to buy, just to be a little bit different, I'm going to buy Wii Music because that is one of those train wrecks that I just love watching. It was so cringy at the time and I was very angry, but watching it now and watching like Ravi drums like flail around and just the uncoordinated dancing of the entire like Miyamoto and the music crew, it is such a glorious disaster from a company that was like on top with everything else. With like the Wii was so popular, and even like
was it though, or was it just one Wii Sports was very popular, and then when other people got other games that weren't Nintendo people, they were like, "They."
But even Wii Music sold like 2 or 3 million copies.
Yeah,
because everything about that console was just like, well, we really like bowling, so we're gonna like everything else. Let's be real.
Music. I like music.
I'm gonna buy that one just because it's such a stupid thing all around. I'm gonna rent the Xbox One conference, I think, because yeah, you know what? No, I'm going to change that. I'm going to rent the PS3 because again, I'm going by like my favorite is the biggest train wreck. So the PS3, I think for the rental, to watch Sony shoot themselves in the foot.
Did anybody boo the price? I can't remember.
I can't remember offhand, but like it was so bad. And like to watch again, that awkwardness, I think Sony, I'm going to go with that. And then TV, because I'm returning that one because it was so close to brilliant. Like they were so close. They, like Court said, they were a little bit ahead of their time. They almost had something, but they missed the opportunity. So it was just, I don't know, it's just cringy. And maybe it's because that's the closest one to us. I still feel a little bit like let down by it, but yeah, I'll return that one for now. So they're my picks. Yeah, I really want to know what like other people liked for this one.
Well, very, very good. You know what? I'm sure we aren't done with these because we're going to probably see another Konami event, right? We didn't even talk about the Konami event. That was probably one of the worst ones ever. But
yeah, we didn't even do third parties.
We didn't do like the third party, but that's okay. We're moving on to what we've been playing. So, Court, you said we talked a little bit before the show. And, you know, you've got kids. Mark's got kids. I've got a 16-year-old. So you're playing a game that most people probably aren't talking about.
Yeah, so my daughter and I finished, thanks to my friends over at Outright Games. They provided me a code for their newest release, which is My Little Pony. My daughter is loving this game. She played it today. She fit. It's hilarious. I love their games because they make it so that everybody can play. You know, there's lots of great accessibility features on it, but she got into this game, and you're one of the characters from My Little Pony. I don't know the names, but but there's this little butterfly that you follow, and she picked up on it right away, and she follows it through the missions, and she gains confidence by playing their games. And that's something that really hits home for me, that when she ever plays these games from Outright, she always feels like she can accomplish something. She's like, look, I can actually beat it. Because like, I think about the games that I grew up with, like Ghost and Goblins, the thing just beat the living daylights out of me. Like even Mario, like all of them. Yeah. Oh, Batman, like, oh, I was like, oh, I want to get it. Or Spider-Man on the Game Boy, you just get the crap kicked out of you. But yet my daughter's playing. She's finished all the Paw Patrol games. She's finished Peppa Pig, and she loves it. But there's replayability. Like this, she finished it in probably about 5 hours. The mainline story, and there is a story, but then there's a ton of mini games and there's a ton of collectibles to go to. And her favorite part, it has nothing to do with the story. It has everything to do with making your character have a unicorn horn and putting like purple hair on and putting sunglasses on. So that's what I've been playing. That's with my daughter this weekend on the Switch. And as usual, for everybody that listens to me on every other podcast, I've been playing MLB The Show like nonstop.
So wait, I've got a follow-up question on the pony game. I was looking at there's
Adventures in Maretime Bay.
So is that like maritime, like seaside?
Like Mare. No, like think about it. Mare.
But I was saying like maritime too.
It is.
Like,
well, yes. Well, that's
so there you
really
go.
Close to
it is. It is on the sea. It is on the water. Yes.
They hit both. So they show like there's like a music game. There's like a
she loves the dance game. Huge. And
what's it called?
You're flying. You fly through the air.
And there's like a rollerblading game, which is funny. Horses rollerblading with four.
Well, that's your awesome. Different outfits. Yeah. You automatically can once you unlock the rollerblades, you can actually use them to go throughout the town, and you can actually get your character goes even faster.
And is there co-op?
We haven't tried it. If there is, I'm gonna get dunked on for this one. I hate the Switch controllers. I can't stand
Joy-Cons.
They're just terrible. My fat hands hate them.
Mark knows my thoughts on the Joy-Cons. I won't bring it up.
They're trash.
Yep.
They shouldn't even be considered. Like when we got Mario Kart, and I was like, oh, we can play 2-player. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, this is not like a Twix bar is bigger. Like, what is this? So I do have an Elite. I believe there is co-op, believe it or not. I'll have to check it in because most of the Outright games do have co-op. I haven't looked. I've just been letting my daughter play, and when she plays something and she doesn't talk because she talks a lot, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But I asked her this morning when we were having breakfast if she could rate it from 1 to 5, 1 being in like the numbers, and she's rated some of them pretty bad. She's giving this a 5 out of 5 because she truly enjoys it.
Wow,
very nice. Right.
So that's the same company that made Paw Patrol, the one that's on
Game Pass. There's a bunch of Outright games on Game Pass. They are Ben 9, or I think it's called
Ben 10.
Ben 10. That's it. See, close.
That was my son's one of his favorite shows.
Despite the Bluey,
they have to make a Bluey game. Have to
looking over me. So my son's second birthday was this weekend, and we had a Paw Patrol birthday. He is obsessed with Paw Patrol, and
Chases on the case.
Yeah. So I played through that game, and he watched it like he watched an episode, and it was like voice acted, and we did the Pup Pup Boogie, and like it was just.
Oh yeah, that's a good rhythm game actually, because it just is the up and downs on the Xbox, so it's like perfect.
Yeah, really good. And I mean, he just turned 2. He's not quite there of like getting holding a controller, but like watching me play that, he absolutely loved. It was awesome.
On Amazon, you can get a small one for the Xbox. So I bought it. It was like $20. You can get a small Xbox controller. My daughter has graduated from that. But the original Paw Patrol game, the first one, you could probably find it for like $10 somewhere, or even on the Xbox store. It is only a side scroller. It will drive you crazy. But your 2-year-old. So my daughter started playing around 2.5, and that was her first game she played. It's just a side scroller. It's just jump. There's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it. It's the same thing. It's the same background. There's a small controller you can buy that is like fits their little hands, and it's wired only. I can't remember what it's called. But it's an Xbox controller, and you can play I guarantee your 2-year-old can probably play the very first Paw
I
Patrol
was
game.
super impressed. He figured out there's he got the big Paw Patrol tower, and he lines up all the cars in it, and then you have to like press down the plunger on the top, and that releases the cars. And he figured that out so quick of like, this button does this, and that correlates to my cars racing down and going off the ramp. Like he's getting that button coordination. I think video games are the next step. So they make some entertaining games, man. That's great to hear that your daughter's getting the confidence. I love that.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. What I love about them. Like they have they're coming in with a Paw Patrol race game, and if it's like any of their other race car games, what they do is you can actually a lot like Mario Kart, where they can have the very good accessibilities. They have it like if the player gets stuck, you can just press select and automatically just puts them right back. You can have it so they're automatically always in the middle, and they'll always be there, and they can control the acceleration. Like they do a very good job of making the kid feel like they can win.
That's great.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome. I'm going to pause and go back for a second to our Buy Rent Return, because Famous Seamus just dropped one in our Discord literally while we were recording. So he said he's going to buy the music.
Yes. Happy birthday, Famous
Seamus. With my son. So Wii Music, it's cringe, but it's just a perfect example of how out of touch Nintendo was back then. Yet it's kind of hilarious seeing the grandfather of all gaming playing a horrible version of the Super Mario theme. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's why I picked it. Renting PS3 to get a second job quote. He said it was just a dumb, ignorant comment from one of the executives. So, he'll rent that one and kind of forgive a little bit. And he's returning Xbox TV because I actually fell asleep during that presentation.
It was probably, it was pretty boring. Yeah, in a lot of sense. Yeah, if you were there for the games.
Perfect. All right. So I'll jump right into what I've been playing, and then we'll go, since I'm already talking. So I really haven't been playing much, to be honest. I'm trying to catch up on Fortnite. We were talking before, with kids and stuff, you have that like tiny little window, and getting ready for even a 2-year-old's birthday party took some time away. So my video game playing windows have been short. So I've been doing a little bit of, like I said, catch up on Fortnite, getting ready for the season ender event this weekend. If you're planning on jumping into that, hit me up. I'd love to have a whole crew together and go into that season end event and see what it's all about. I love the live events. Fortnite does it like no one else. So pretty hyped for that. And then I've just been playing Super Mega Baseball on Switch, because I can play that and like play an inning or two and then just kind of suspend the game, or go through a little bit more of the season that I started long ago, because that game's ancient. And for some reason, I just felt like playing baseball, and felt like
very nice.
Mega Baseball. I could play something else, or MLB, but
yeah, you could play that on your phone.
I have never played Fortnite.
No, really?
Yeah, never. Wow. Never in my life.
It's so good. It's people talk a lot of shit about it, but like I find it's the equivalent of people talking shit about like any popular game, Call of Duty, Halo, whatever it is.
I mean, gamers like to complain.
So solid, right? It's mechanically very solid. They're constantly trying something new, constantly pushing the envelope. This season, I've hardly played regular Fortnite. I've been playing no build mode. I played with my nephew last week, and he played like normal building Fortnite. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, people are, I'm just not used to that anymore, because I've been playing just...
the reason why this game was different than any other shooter is now been removed.
But I almost want to play it now because it has been removed.
Yeah, because now you don't have to contend with people making, the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, that's you shoot once, someone builds a 5-star hotel with Wi-Fi and a swimming pool, and it's like, well,
here's my outhouse.
There we go. I suck at building, so there we are. Anyway, event's Saturday. If you're interested, hit me up in the Discord or on Twitter, and that's it. So, Todd, what have you been playing?
Well, my son got me back into Destiny 2. I'm almost done with the campaign, but that is that. My son is the biggest Destiny 2 fan, so he is pushing me forward and getting me back into Destiny, which has been a tough road to hoe because I'm so out of it. But the game I played a little bit of, and that's really the essential part of it. Evil Dead, the game. I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead series, the movies, and the TV show. Just really love the whole thing. I was excited about this game when it was announced. It looked really cool. This game is essentially like a Dead by Daylight, a Friday the 13th game where you basically have 4v1 bad guys, and you can play the bad guys as well. So it's basically Ash and his crew versus the Deadites. They brought in a lot of the characters. This is definitely embraced by the copyright holders, the voice talent. Bruce Campbell's been really hyping this game, and care has been put into this game. I thought there was going to be like a real single player campaign. There's not really. There's more like you do missions that are snippets and inspired by the movie. But other than that, that's really just, you can progress and get things from it. Like you can get more elements that you can wear, different costumes, weapons, and things like that. But really the main meat of the game is truly the online element of it. But you can play with AI if you want, which is great. If you just don't want to play with other people, you're EA, and I did that. And then there's different missions and things like that. You can be a leader, you can be a support, a tank. So it's class-based as well. Different weapons, different power-ups, and things like that. Great job. I just knew this game was not for me when it was that. And that's fine. There's games for everybody. And I think it would be fun to play with others and just have a good time. And I didn't play the Deadites. I might try the Deadites just because they do some really unique thing with the Sam Raimi camera, just like in Doctor Strange, where they're like zooming in really fast from a first person perspective. So I thought they really handled the property really well. And this is from in the Embracer group, and doing something cool with the property and putting some love and care into it. So I'm actually optimistic about what that company does. But yeah, if you really like those type of asynchronous type of games that are multiplayer, I'm sure this game will get on sale, and I could see it going to Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or one of those services eventually, because they want to get fans and maybe put some charges against it. I think would be a good place for it to go.
Cool.
Well, that is it for what we've been playing. But the main part of the show is really all about the Summer of Games events that are coming up. We call them the Jeff Key Threes, I guess you would call it. But we've got a bunch of game events happening. And thankfully this year, they're kind of all together. So it's not like spread out, for 18 weeks. Essentially, you've got June 2nd as the PlayStation State of Play event, which is not their normal big showcase. This is just one of their State of Plays. June 9th, Summer Game Fest.
VR, right? For that one?
Third party and VR.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a little different because they typically will say what they're not going to talk about. They didn't say that this time, though. They didn't say anything was off topic, so we could have some surprises.
Shuhei did put out the tweet, like, please don't read into anything. Like it's definitely read the blog. It's like, he pretty much was like, it's third party in VR. Please do not think it's anything else.
Raise expectations, please.
Yeah. Shuhei, all hail Shuhei.
PSV to 2 confirmed, fellas.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it though when they always say that, like, we're not, and then they're like, oh, but one more thing. So then they're almost like always saying, we won't do that, but here's something. Like Nintendo,
I truly think
we're not going to buy.
I truly think
it's going to stick to it.
It'll be a huge VR showcase.
Okay.
I think Ryan was saying that he thinks it'll be Final Fantasy in VR. I think he's dead on. I think it'll be Stray, Final Fantasy, something else. And I think they're going to just show off some like Horizon VR game. They can show more of that. This rumored Killzone VR game. There's a lot of their PlayStation VR 2 is coming out this year. They've got to put something behind it. And I don't think they wanted to put it in their big show.
Right.
I think because people would be like
VR games for launch or something like that this year too. So
that's a lot.
Really have to
they need to push it.
And they already showed the hardware, so they don't have a lot of things like to really like wow us with in regards to things we haven't seen yet. So I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I my Quest is sitting in my storage unit right now because we're moving, but I'm excited to see what they do. And I know Sean Nias is the biggest PlayStation VR fan, and he cannot wait. So this is really a big deal if it happens. And when I was talking about like people, typically they say we're not going to show what does Nintendo always do? We're not going to talk about that, and then they're like, here's a trailer for Breath of the Wild coming in 2023. Like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Stop that. Oh well. Then we have the Summer
Emblem.
Oh yeah, or something like that, which is just bizarre. But June 9th, Summer Game Fest. This is going to be mostly third party, I believe. There may be some surprises. Jeff Keighley kicks it off, and then we're going to probably have small events within that. I'm not 100% clear what exactly they're going to show. June 10th, Netflix Geeked. The only reason I put this in here is because they did say they're going to show games. So this is like their big geek conference where they show like their geeky shows, and now they make games on the app. And I've tried that actually, where you download a game through Netflix, it goes to the App Store, and then you can play a game, and it's all free. So it's different, but
few,
kind of
right?
there. Yeah, there's some good ones actually. June 10th, Tribeca Games Spotlight. This is probably going to be your big indie showcase for games out of Tribeca in New York. June 12th, Xbox plus Bethesda Showcase. June 12th, Future Games Show, which is, I think it's a catch-all. Maybe it's PC focused. I'm not 100% clear on what they really focus on.
It will be I'll be at the Toronto one.
Okay.
It's gonna be, from what I'm reading, it's gonna be games. They'll put PC in there. It'll be a little bit of everything. This is their show. Like, this is going to be their wow. Like, we've done our predictions. I know the Xbox Drive did their predictions, but myself, Sean, and Ryan will be at the one here in Toronto. Awesome. When they do it. I'm extremely excited. This is my first event I'll ever get to go to. I think they're going to, with the fact that we already now know we're going to see Starfield gameplay. That's definitely going to happen. I don't know how much we're going to see, but we're going to see Starfield. You don't make the whole thumbnail for it a Starfield logo. Like, I know they originally thought the game was coming out, but I think we're going to see Starfield. I think we're going to see Redfall. We know none of those games are going to come out, and then there's going to be surprises, and I think that's going to be the thing. I think Xbox has no choice but to push some of their big games. We already know that Call of Duty, PlayStation didn't put at, what was it, that show just recently, they showed like their advertising things. Call of Duty is no longer on their list, so I think Call of Duty will be at the Xbox showcase.
Ooh.
Because PlayStation doesn't have them on. So they were showing like all their marketing deals, and Deathloop for some reason was still on there. We're like, I joke, I'm like, well, they can always show Deathloop again in a state of play, like, 15 times in a row. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Deathloop VR. That actually would be really good. But I'm guessing that we're going to see Call of Duty at the Xbox show, or we'll see it at Summer Games Fest, so that no one gets it.
I think that's probably more of an accurate, because I think Xbox does not want to have anything to do with Activision until that deal is closed, because there's still all the nonsense with that New York court case against Bobby Kotick, and like essentially saying he crippled the company. So that eventually could derail a lot of stuff. So I think I think being at like Jeff Keighley's show makes a lot of sense.
And then there's a rumor that we're going to see Indiana Jones. I hope, as an old fart, that I'm so excited for that game. And then obviously at the PlayStation show, we'll see like Harry Potter. We'll see all the marketing deals, right? But I'm worried. I'm very excited about the one. Or I think Xbox is going to have not one more thing. They're going to have three more things that we don't know about. We can. It's been rumored for a while. Matt and I did one on Xbox A like months ago about this, but like we're getting a Gears of War collection. Like that's happening. That's happening. So that'll be one thing, but that's not a one more thing. I think we're going to get Quake 100%. We're going to hear about it, whether we see gameplay or not. It will be announced at that event. We will have a new Quake. That's definitely going to happen. And do we get a new Wolfenstein, or do we get a new something? Like, we're going to get something there. We're going to get either Wolfenstein or Doom there, but we're 100% getting Quake. And then I wonder what else. Like Avowed. Are we going to see Avowed? Like, we're going to see something. We won't see Fable, because we've already heard that Playground Games is having some issues. So we're not going to see Fable. But could we see Avowed? Like, that's another game, right? So that's the Xbox. I think Xbox is going to focus on the third parties. They have so many studios now. They have they need to. And Ubisoft's doing their own conference, right? So
Ubisoft Forward, I have not seen anything actually. Has it been
supposedly
confirmed?
They're going to be announcing one soon, because that's another rumor.
Okay.
So we'll see. Like, I think Xbox is going to focus on themselves.
I was trying to figure 45 out minutes. So we have some predictions coming up in a bit. So maybe I'll save that for that.
I mean, like, Court's coming in hot. He's like, we're ready to go.
Hey, I told you, I'm looking at the time. I'm just like, let's just get to it.
So that gets into like, what you want to go right into it, Mark?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Okay, let's go. What do you expect to see at E3? So I think, Court, you kind of covered what you're expecting. Well, just overall, for for everything we're going to cover. So what do you expect to see overall for these events? So I think you kind of covered Xbox. Is there anything else you expect to see from any of the shows?
Well, for PlayStation, I expect to see God of War. I originally didn't think this game was coming, but now that we've seen the accessibility features, it has been rated over in Korea. We're getting this game. So I expect the release date. I said this on the PlayStation Drive. The rumor is it's September because all this marketing material and toys got released and then they had to take it all down, and it has a September 22nd date for all the releasing of these toys. Yeah, well, there was but I really want it to be November 11th just because of what happened with Starfield. I just think like the whole Shuhei when he was like, "This is how you trade games." I think that would be the most hilarious thing that Sony could ever do, and I don't think Xbox would take it as a slant. I think it would be funny. You release it 11/11 now because there's no Starfield. There's nothing in the way. There's no Red Dead. There could be the Red Dead. I think also at the Sony conference, we'll see that rumored Red Dead remake. I think we'll see something, or at Summer Games Fest. That's going to be it's going to be either at Sony or Summer Games Fest because that's where Rockstar usually is, right? But I think at the Sony, we're going to see God of War. And I think Sony is going to be smart and they're going to focus on the games that are coming out this year and next. I don't think we're going to get, I'm hoping we see that, we see something out of, Infamous, but I think we're going to get Spider-Man. I think we're going to see God of War. I think they're going to play it safe this year and show the games that are coming out, because now that Xbox has nothing coming out as of right now, they don't. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm an Xbox fan. There's nothing coming out. Sony can just be like, well, here's what we have literally coming out in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And that would be like, just as good.
Going to play.
Exactly. And they could end it with here, but if Sony was smart, they could just do it with that, because we know we want the Thievius Raccoons. We know we want what we want. We know the games that we want to see at the PlayStation Showcase. But I think we're just going to see The Last of Us, the new Last of Us game. I've already made a prediction that the multiplayer will be free on PlayStation Plus, and it'll be a standalone. It won't just come with the remastered, or because it was supposed to come with Last of Us 2 anyways. I think that will be a standalone thing, and it'll be free on PlayStation Plus. Anybody who has PlayStation Plus can get that for free, and we can all play factions. So I think that'll be one of the things they announce, and then we'll go from there. I hate doing the pie in the sky stuff because it just seems like I'm playing it safe, but that's what I really think they're going to do this year, because so many delays. What are you going to show? Like, what are you going to show? We're going to see maybe we'll even see Knights of the Old Republic, because nothing was said during the Star Wars celebration.
Right. They announced
they announced Jedi
KOTOR
Fallen Order
Remake 2 coming to Switch, I think, or something like that, and then did Jedi Fallen Order. That was it.
Court, we're going to move on to what you don't want to see at E3, or the E3 type events.
I don't want to see games that are 5 years out. Like, I love it was funny when Fable got announced last year, when they showed the whole thing and everything like that, and now knowing the game is so far away, I'm tired of that.
Yep.
I'm hoping Xbox takes a page from the studio that they purchased, which is ZeniMax, and only show me a game 6 months before it comes out. And that's why I think we're going to see more from Bethesda and the team over at Machine Games and stuff, because they've been working on stuff for a while.
Yeah,
and the way they are.
Came out, 2018?
Yeah, exactly. So we know, that's why I think we're getting something from them. We know they're working on Indiana Jones, but they've already, that was the first time ever that they released something so early. I want companies to start doing the 6 month thing. I want that. That's what I want. I don't want any of this stuff that's 5 years out, or Nintendo throwing up Metroid Prime. Never gonna see that game.
graphic logos.
Don't want that. No graphic logos. Yep. I'm done with it.
Perfect scenario. What is your, like, I would go nuts if I saw this?
Infamous or a BioShock. One of the two.
Oh, wow.
New BioShock or a new Infamous. I'd lose my mind. Even an Infamous remake of the very first one, and bring Cole back. Like, if you just all we had was Cole's hand go down, and you see the his weapon come out of his hand, and the lightning comes off it, I'd lose my freaking mind.
Yeah,
Who makes it?
So I originally we talked about this, and Ryan Turford has convinced me Blue Point. He's convinced me.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's a blue point.
It's a blue point.
He's convinced because I said I wanted it, and I was like, well, he's like, they're working on too many games, they can't. But he's like, Blue Point could do it, and that it's perfect. It's a superhero game. Superheroes are huge, but also I would just want to see the new BioShock. Just please. Hey, you know what? Redo the first BioShock.
Yeah, that could and that could be one of those. Here's a tease of where we're going next in the BioShock franchise, but while you wait, revisit BioShock.
Well, because they already brought back up the collection, but I'm saying redo from the ground up, the very first one, 120 frames, 4K, redo it. Oh my god, think how scary it would be. Oh my goodness,
they could finally fix that final boss.
Yes, thank you. That's pitiful.
Yeah, it was just like didn't fit. It felt like, oh, we have to do a video game thing, and it's like that doesn't feel like it belongs. And Ken Levine hasn't been doing any. He's got that little studio that apparently there's nothing is happening with his new game. Bring him in and just say, if you could redo BioShock, what would you change? It's like the director's cut.
I think about these 360 games, 360 previous 3 generations. Those games. People are like, oh, they're not that old. I'm like, no, you just don't want to feel old. They're old.
No, they're old. In my mind, they're beautiful.
Hey, I also would love an Assassin's Creed remake, the very first one, because that game was
hell yeah.
But Assassin's Creed 2 was great. Redo the first one from the ground up. But
with the mechanics, with the mechanics that
of the new
people
ones.
Embraced and loved, and I think that's the point of a lot of the games. People don't remember that like some of those mechanics have not aged well, or they're improved, and they would make the original game, and people say, play this game, it's fantastic, because they took it off the jank and they made it so much better.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is so bad. Like so bad, the original. But Assassin's Creed 2 is good.
Tough. Yeah. Very.
That's what would blow my mind. See, give me stuff from the 360 generation or the 360 PlayStation 3 generation. Give me some of those games back, because PlayStation had some great IPs.
Mm-hmm. Love it. So before, I know Court's got a heart out, but before he leaves, we're going to give some other folks, we're going to get their thoughts on the events as well. So the very first person is Sean Capri. Sean Capri has wagers. He ranks people's rate. He's a hater. We all know Sean Capri is, he doesn't like rat games, I guess, apparently, for some reason.
He hates Jar Jar Binks.
Exactly. You know what? Top Gungan, I think, was put on the wire. So
that was so good.
Good stuff. It was very, very good. But he says Hellblade 2 in 2022. I think that's not going to happen, because apparently that game is going to take 18 years or something.
I'm hearing there might be a remake of the first one.
Oh.
But really? Luke Lore put it out there today, and then I was like, and then I started Googling, and I'm like, sounds like a smoke to that. Well, that's a lot of the companies, what they do now, right? If they want to test out the new engines, they just remake their very first one.
Yeah. Because I've never played through the whole game. I had some issues with, I didn't think the combat was very good.
Thank you. I didn't like it. Didn't like the game.
Yeah, so maybe they can say, because I think Ninja Theory makes awesome combat. So I'm like, that's so weird that they didn't nail that part. But
it was so bad.
Yeah,
the story was great, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, my goal, and Mark and I talked about this, I think our agreement was we would play that game before the next game came out. So
yeah, I failed on that too, because it was so close after Bobby passed away that it was dealing with some heavy stuff that I was just, I need something lighter, and just like, nope, that wasn't it.
Give me a Lego game.
I gotta get back to
exactly. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Hellblade in Lego. That's the remake you're getting. Yeah, it's very family friendly. And then my son, he wanted to put his 2 cents in, so he says he does not want. He didn't have He did not have what he expects to see. He said, "Dad, I don't care about that. What I don't want to see is no Square Enix or Ubisoft game announcements without gameplay." So he's very clear on that. Show me, don't tell me. And then what he wants to see. Trailer for Breath of Wild 2, he says, or even just a title of that game, what the title is.
Oh, like a final title. Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently you can't give a title because that'll ruin the game for people. I mean, don't know why. Elden Ring DLC, which he beat the game and he loved it, so I could see that, but I don't know how quickly you turn that around, quite honestly. I don't know. And then Metroid Prime 4, Proof of Life. Does it exist? Because nobody knows.
Yeah. All right. Good, solid choices. Can't argue with any of those.
Very, very good. Well, Court, thank you for being on. We appreciate this. We know your time is valuable as a dad. We appreciate it.
I think your mic's
Oh, you're muted.
It's because I got to get up in a couple hours from now, and it's terrible.
There we go. Okay.
My bad.
No problem. But tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Court Lalonde. You can catch me every Wednesday live on YouTube at 3 Dads and a Console on YouTube, 3 Dads and a Console. You can also catch me Fridays at noon on Carpool Gaming doing the PlayStation Drive. And you can also find me, wow, I do too much, on YouTube at Xbox A.
Awesome.
So Canadian. I love it. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks, Court. You have a wonderful night. And with that, thank you very much. All right. Well, you heard Court's and the crowd's thoughts on the E3 type events. So before we really get into what we want to see, we don't want to see, and what we expect to see, Mark, in 2021, whatever that year was, I would say largely we came up short.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, we didn't get much right. I'm going to go back to one of my previous, like what I want to see. But aside from that, yeah, you nailed Guardians of the Galaxy. You got that right. Otherwise, not the best. So there we go.
No, and Mark,
I was close.
You were close on Psychonauts too. Yeah, you were close on that.
I said available right now, but it was like shortly after, right?
Like August. Yeah.
Yep. A couple months or whatever. So it was and I knew that was kind of like a, I'm gonna swing big and whatever, but it was still quick,
very close. So yes,
I'll give
absolutely.
myself a portion of a point there. But like, what do you expect to see this year, Todd?
Oh my goodness, Mark!
You're gonna break it down by.
Yeah, I'll break it down by the top three.
Okay.
So I'll start with Nintendo. This is going to be stupid because these are probably more what I would like or what I want, but that's okay. I'm going to put this in my thought process of, it's probably reasonable. Game & Watch for Metroid announced.
Yeah, that makes
Metroid, Super Metroid probably could be possible with maybe like a Metroid pinball type, just like pseudo game you could play on the game, like the watch screen.
Man, Metroid Pinball was so good. If they did anything close to Metroid Pinball, I'd be in. I skipped the Link, like the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch, but I carry the Super Mario one with me all the time.
Oh, really?
Like it is. So
it's your new Game Boy.
This is like my work bag, and it is. I'm like trying to like sneakily reach into my pocket here. Inside zipper.
So this is a video right here, folks. You can see Mark rambling through his work bag,
scrambling for it. Oh man, where'd it go?
Finn's got it.
It's usually in there. Yeah. Oh, there's why. It's. I'm looking in the wrong thing. It is right in there.
There she is.
Literally every day to work with me. That's just there. I love that thing. I love it, and it's a game that I constantly replay. Where I don't have that same nostalgia factor for Legend of Zelda. Would I mess with Metroid? Maybe a little bit more.
Sure.
But pinball. Ooh, now you're talking. Let's throw some stuff in there.
I did get the Zelda one for my birthday, so I have that, and I will be displaying that as kind of like on my shelf because it has one of my favorite games, Zelda 2, on it. So that's a rarity. So, anywhere people can love and admire Zelda 2, I'm all in. Then, Mark, I'm saying we are going to get a Metroid Prime 1 HD release and a Zelda HD collection announced with both Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and also what would it be? The one that is Twilight Princess. I think that becomes a combo because they didn't do a lot to those games, and I don't even think you can find that Wolf Amiibo anymore.
No, very tough.
Yeah, so I think $60 release for both, but the one is the other games because they've been released before. There's very little heavy lifting on those releases.
Absolutely, yeah. And a couple of the only Wii U games that are absent from the Switch library. Like there's
They're low hanging fruit.
Only a few examples. Yeah, it's file, save as, let's do this.
The heavy lifting's already been done. Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in because I had very similar like remake. I had the Metroid Prime trilogy though, not just the first one. So we'll see if they do it. Who's right?
Like a Mario 3D collection.
Yeah, I mean, because they had Metroid Prime trilogy. That's a
true.
Game that already exists.
That's true.
It's like just do that. So I think
do they remove all the pointer controls, or do they have to adapt and do standard controls?
I'm wondering if Switch Sports may have been a testing ground for how willing people are to go back to motion controls. And if Switch Sports sold well, I think we will see literally a file save as Switch Metroid Prime trilogy with motion controls, that this is the way to play it. If Switch Sports isn't received well, doesn't sell well, blah, 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 maybe they'd put some time into it, but I think the sales of Metroid Dread were great for that series, but show you where that sits in the Nintendo pantheon of how they're going to rank their sales. So look at that, look at how other games sell, and then kind of decide what you want to put time into. So I think they're going to use that and use the data they have from like how willing are people to use, motion controls and do the simple way. You always say Nintendo takes the easy way. They don't like to spend money. I think this is going to be one of those examples that's going to piss you off, and you're going to say it's, they took the easy way out, and it's going to be true. But I think that's what they're going to do.
See, I think it's going to be just the first game because that's the simplest, because it had standard controls.
Right.
And I don't know if those precision Joy-Con controls will piss off people like, holy crap, I can't play this game because I have to reorient it and retrigger it. So that might be a bridge too far.
And I could see them doing that if Switch Sports didn't sell well, wasn't received well.
Got it. So even the purists are like, I can't control it very precisely, would be okay with that? Or do they care?
I think, again, how many people Nintendo predicts would buy Metroid Prime, like, of those, how many are going to complain? How many are going to buy it anyway? Like, they're doing all this math. Someone's doing that math.
They're min-maxing. They're like, okay, right. Money versus complaints.
Like, it's like complaints versus time and energy they want to put into this.
The collection only sold 3 million on Wii. I don't even know if it sold that much. They're like, if we sell 2 million, we got to win.
Because Dread's the highest selling.
That's true.
What is it, 2.8, close to.
So who are they going to piss off? Maybe 500,000 people.
Right, if that. That there's a small vocal minority on the internet.
Did I say that?
I'm not going to care, right? So, anyway, I think you're right with those. But my other prediction is we're going to see the announcement of Game Boy games being the big draw. I don't know if we're going to see that early on or probably closer to the end of the summer, but I think it's going to happen in the summer Game Fest. That's going to be the reason to resubscribe to Nintendo Switch Expansion Pass or Nintendo Switch Online or whatever.
And I foresee a prediction in my future as well.
The only other one I could really think of that I expect to see is maybe and more immediate than the Switch Online, which I think will be end of summer. The announcement of more games coming than just golf to Nintendo Switch Sports.
Okay,
we know
golf
sense. Is coming in the fall. I think they're going to say
sense.
Golf is coming in the fall. We look forward to you playing golf, blah, blah, blah. But here's what's coming, frisbee golf or whatever the hell they want to do.
And nothing is going to be gated behind NSO expansion pack?
No. Okay. No, I think it's free expansions. We'll get, I'm going to say, maybe a year of free games, and then they might, depending on how
season
it's selling
two,
again.
Season 2 of Switch Sports
some stuff back
on expansion pack. I could see that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. I'll pivot to Xbox for what I expect to see. Family Game Pass announced. I think this is a no-brainer. I think they've been talking about it. It'll be there. Now, I don't know how much they're going to charge for it because there used to be a Xbox Gold Live family pack, and it was I think double the price of Xbox Ultimate and up to 4 family members, I think is reasonable and fair.
Makes sense. I like that.
Oh, go ahead.
My big one
I
for
want.
Microsoft.
You want one more?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
GoldenEye announced day and date for Game Pass.
Fudge. Yep. I love that. And I didn't put that in mine, so I'm glad you got it in yours. I'm going to throw two out, I guess. Gear 6 teaser. We're going to get a teaser, maybe a hint of.
You say, isn't that like? Is it that? Are you bringing back a classic from last year?
I did. I said that last year. We didn't get it. I'm just going to repeat it.
Evergreen.
I am repeating that one for sure. But okay, so you want some new ones that I didn't? Okay, so I'm going to think.
That's okay.
I'll throw two new ones. Don't worry about it. Sea of Thieves. We're going to get a story or some sort of expansion to, and it's going to be out soon, if not immediate, to kind of distract people from, again, what we were talking about before of Xbox doesn't have games. I think Sea of Thieves is constantly pushing out so much. They're just going to push this out and make a big deal of it. Where some of the Sea of Thieves stuff, unless it's Pirates of the Caribbean, like, I don't think it'll be that big of an expansion. I'd love it if it was. If they did, Goonies or something like that for the next big expansion, right? Like,
ooh, that's a good idea. Sloth?
100%. Like, sign me up. Like, One-Eyed. Like, no, skip the kids and Sloth and stuff. Bring me back to One-Eyed Willie.
One-Eyed Willie and his adventures.
Like,
okay.
His adventures, right? Like, get me in with, and he's setting up the booby traps, and you maybe have to help him set up some booby traps or whatever. That'd be some fun stuff. And I think the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff showed like that Sea of Thieves can do that, and that can fit in. The other one, I think Halo True Battle Royale mode shown off. We're close.
Is that what Certain Affinity is doing? I'm hearing they're coming in. Are they the ones that are going to be behind that, you think?
I don't know. I think Halo's. I think they're still figuring out a lot of stuff. Okay. That could be. I think, yeah. Let the main team focus on the story and the co-op and all the other numerous things that are broken with that game, and let someone else focus on Battle Royale. But I think we will hear about the true Battle Royale mode because we're almost there right now.
Nice. Yep. Nice. Okay, we're going to move on to Big Blue with Sony. I'm saying God of War announced for fall 2022. I don't think they're brave enough to announce a date, like Court said, because I think dates right now, announce a date, you're going to get skewered. So it's better to just say, be vague, and hopefully it falls. And maybe they can claim that later when they probably have their God of War state of play.
Do you think they're going to, because I have God of War on mine too, and I think that's going to be their big focus this year. So I'm maybe not as confident as Court. So it's kind of funny. We're in the three. He's thinking they call out a specific date. I'm thinking they call out maybe a month or maybe like a couple of months. It'll be out this holiday season.
Sure, that's why I'm saying fall.
Have that.
Very broad.
And you're thinking just broad, like
fall
2022.
What is fall? Is fall like specifically September to December?
Something like that.
And then
right?
December and to March is winter. I'm saying fall, so it could be anywhere where they're like, we got our remote, because I don't think any big games coming out like for like Xbox or anybody else PC after Call of Duty, and that's October 28th. So there's a big gap of games we don't know about yet.
Yeah. So I think they're going to even swing for a month, but maybe not down, because then they can push it and they say, we need a little bit more time. We're not doing November. We're going to do the second week of December, right? Like, because they didn't call out the specific day in November. But I think that's where we're going to see Sony go. And I think I know Court said he doesn't want anything more than 6 months away, but I think Sony is going to be the one to do that. They're going to announce a new
nothing
IP
else on the horizon, right?
New IP, but it's going to be a little while away.
Yeah. I'm saying Square further commits with Sony. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they acquire them or they just have more exclusives, but I think that's what we're going to see in one way or the other. So that's very vague. But once again, I don't know how easy it is for them to acquire studios after all these things happening. It's a Japanese studio, and they just have their Embracer Group's sale. So I don't know, but I think there's going to be more closer ties with those two Japanese companies.
Nice. What don't you want to see?
Okay, Mark, this is for everybody. A montage of what we just saw at the end of their event. I hate that. It's like, what? Don't show me what you already showed me. I hate that. It's annoying. Just leave.
So I have something very similar from Microsoft. I'm going to start there. I don't want a recap of what's already on Game Pass. I don't need to hear how great Game Pass is. I know that this is the time when like the normies are watching, and that's probably a good time to do it. But like, buy TV ad space or something like that. Like, I don't want that. I just don't want, like, I know that Game Pass is great. Stop selling me on Game Pass. That's 5 minutes that I won't get back. Announce something new. That's it.
Yeah, that was my all. Like, just everybody.
Okay, so for Sony, for me, I don't want remasters. They keep going on the remasters, and I find Microsoft with their backwards compatibility kind of already won that race a little bit of like, Sony's like, pay $90 for a remaster, and Xbox is like, I don't give a flying rat's ass, play whatever you want. It's all here. Cool. So yeah, Sony, I think, remasters.
Even though they're going to have their Gears of War collection. And they did the Master Chief's collection.
The Master Chief collection. And that's great. That's a great way to start a generation. But I think to continue focus after like year 2 or whatever, I think is, you're kind of losing my interest a little bit.
That's a good point.
Nintendo, I do not want to see the Mario Kart DLC highlights.
Ooh, we agree on that.
The stages that are going to be released, just release them. Do a little YouTube.
Put that on Twitter.
Like, the next batch of Mario Kart stages are here. Go play them. Like, we're all going to play them. There's 40 million copies of this game sold. We're going to play them. Don't worry about it. Don't waste time.
Yeah, it's not like a Smash reveal, right? We know those are classic courses that have already been released. So yeah, to your point, I'm going to go on to Nintendo, the other thing, because I agreed with you on that one. I said I also don't want Nintendo to show me anything that is coming out within the next 60 days of that show. We know it's coming, and they're going to probably have a mini direct. Don't take a precious time to tell us what we already know is coming and we're probably already going to buy. I only wanted to know more about games I don't really know about, or a game I know nothing about, and I want to know more about that.
Yep, I got it. All right.
So with Sony, I said don't show GTA 5 ever again. So please don't. And this is for Xbox. I said at your event, don't show me any games that won't be on Game Pass, because it gets so confusing. Okay. And it's like, no, I just want, if you're Xbox, just show me Game Pass games. I don't know if it really makes sense to show third party on their stage, because that's all Xbox is saying. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. When you put something on the third party and it's like, nope, you don't get that. It's like, it confuses the messaging.
See, I kind of expect the opposite. I expect to see some Jedi Survivor on there. I expect to see. I'll throw in.
But Mark, that will be on Game Pass
eventually.
Exactly. So there's a loophole. There's a loophole for you.
You're getting in some gray area. Like, I expect to see,
unless they have like a marketing deal or something like that, because
that's what I mean. Like Call of Duty, like Court said, I expect to see that. I get your point though. I see what you're like, where you're coming from. That I understand.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's like, oh, here's DLC for a game that you got on Game Pass. By the way, you're not getting the DLC. You have to pay for that. It's just like, oh god, so confusing. Outer Worlds was that one where it's like, that sucks. And they own the studio too, so it was like, oh, that's a weird one. So with that is what we don't want to see, unless we missed anything, Mark. I don't think we did.
I'm good on that one. Yep.
All right. And then what we want to see. This is the big one. This is the. Hopefully it makes our E3, makes us smile, and we are surprised, and we get something we've always wanted, like Santa Claus leaving you that AT-AT mark under your tree.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring one back from last year, and probably the year before, and probably the year before that. For Nintendo, say it with me if you've been listening to the show for a while. You know what I'm going to say. 3, 2, 1. Wave Race.
Oh, not Go Mom.
Freaking Todd, I swear, like, no, Wave Race. That's it. I'll run through my 3 because they're pretty quick.
Sure.
Nintendo, Wave Race. Sony, bring back Parappa the Rappa. It's time. Let's get some fun music, rhythm games. Like you don't need all of the accessories, but I think
perfect games for their new service.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's a great time to bring Parappa the Rapper back. And from Microsoft, I'm going in a less goofy direction, but I want to see Indiana Jones gameplay. That's all I want. Just a little bit.
I think that's the perfect reveal, right? Because the movie is coming out next year, right? Next year,
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
It's got the first teaser image. People are excited about Indy again. We just had Celebration. People are excited about Star Wars. Harrison Ford was bombing around. Like we're ready for this. I think we need gameplay though. We don't need another panning shot of a hangar or whatever, or we don't need a logo or that I want gameplay. I want to see what I'm going to get into with this.
We've had so few Indiana Jones games, except for maybe Fate of Atlantis, which was a point and click. We had that one Xbox game, which I tried to play on Xbox again. It hasn't aged well, and that's about it. We had an arcade game. We had one on an Atari. So yeah, seeing what they can do would be awesome. And has it been announced that Harrison Ford is actually going to voice this game? So that would be cool. Bring it on stage and say
likeness, nothing.
Exactly.
It could be. This could be a very different Indy. They could be
sure.
I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong, correct me, let me know in the Discord if I've messed this up, but I don't think they've even announced that like this is the same movie universe, right? Like this could be Uncharted. This could be like, the game is they're not Tom Holland in the movie, and they took that in a different direction. I thought it was entertaining, but it was not exactly
the multiverse of madness, and this is the other Indiana Jones universe where Short Round became Indiana Jones.
Who knows, right? But
nobody knows.
This could just be Guardians of the Galaxy. It's another, that could be maybe more of an apt description of this, right? It doesn't have to stick to the movies. Yes, there's some influence here and there, but it wasn't Chris Pratt. It wasn't, the cast from the movies doing these things. They took it in a different direction, and they could do their own little spin on Indy and just have the spirit of that character, but in a slightly different way. So I just want to see, I want to see gameplay and the direction that they're going with this.
That's a good point, because we did get the Lego Indiana Jones where they basically did the greatest hits. But we rarely got the greatest hits anywhere else. Like we haven't got those. Would it be interesting if it was almost like a Harrison Ford relaying his stories, and we got some of these classic elements and events, but then interlaced with some new stories or stories that were told elsewhere, like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and all these things. I mean, there's, to your point, I don't know if everybody just wants a movie adaptation of like the new thing, but it would be cool to see something else and a new, unique. This is where we get new adventures with Indiana Jones, regardless of who's playing or voicing the character.
Yeah. Yeah. We have no idea of direction. Like I said, we have a panning shot through, a hangar or whatever that was last year.
Machine Games knows Nazis, so I'm assuming Nazis will be back.
But let's show us like punching and shooting some.
That'd be awesome. Oh, fantastic. So very quickly with what I want to see, I had to change mine a little bit because I would make Mark upset. So I said with Sony, I want to see Jak and Daxter, Infamous, or Siphon Filter new entries. First I said reboots or remakes because like Siphon Filter is so damn old. I mean, I saw what those games look like on the new PlayStation Plus service. I'm like, it looks so old.
Okay, so I should preface what I said or dial back what I said before for what I don't want to see. When I said I don't want to see remasters, I mean last gen remasters.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay.
You remaster a PS1, PS2 game, 100%. I'm waiting for someone to remaster Time Splitters. Let's go. So you want to go back and remaster any of those? Fair game. I just don't want like a game that came out 5 years ago to be remastered.
Oh no, I agree. I'm good, and at this point, cool. I would like I'll take a reboot or a remake or a remaster of the older games, but I would prefer, because I played most of those, new entries. But I don't know if that's even possible and who will make those games. But I still think those are franchises that I really enjoyed. But I just feel like I don't know if Sony cares about them, to be honest, and that makes me sad. So who knows? Mark, I'm going to blow off your navy blue jeans with this next one, Xbox. We're getting
shorts.
crimson. Yes, I know. Whatever you're wearing, whatever the style of the day is in Canada.
Yeah, I should have said I'm not wearing anything, but we'll try to keep this PG rated. It's like
that's allowed in Canada, Mark. Come on, you know that. Yeah. It's
I'm
the
in my own
expected.
house, damn it.
It's expected. I get chafed every day, but I like it. Yes. Wild and free in the land of the moose. Yes. Crimson Skies, Sky of Thieves, Mark, announced with PvE campaign and missions and PvP. So this is essentially a companion series to Sea of Thieves.
Love it.
So you take that goofy art style, you get somebody to make this, but you get a squadron of ships. And you go in, you take out dirigibles and mega carriers and things, and you have that swashbuckling. Maybe you add an element where you can actually board their planes and get in there and get out of their booty and their parts and those things and their upgrades. And you go back to your base, and then you can upgrade your ships, and you can recruit new continents or areas or countries or however you do it. And then you could potentially have missions on the ground where you're doing things as well. So there's a lot, just like Sea of Thieves. So I think this like Xbox could make it a of Thieves, whatever it is, like in the depths, you could have them doing different things, what is it? Space of Thieves, where you could go in space and have taking on like little satellites and little space stations. So I think this could be a really cool idea where Xbox could really build out their PvP, PvE, and just really use that art style, but not make it just Rare, but bring other people to say, but Rare is like giving the direction of saying like, this is what we imagine all of these, this is where we have these live service games. I think this could be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Then Mark, Banjo E3E, not E3, 3E by the Hatton Time developers.
Oh, okay.
Because they're really good at those 3D action adventure games. Rare is busy. Apparently, the developer Psychonauts, they aren't interested in doing a game. They want to do their own stuff. So I'm thinking, bring in third-party devs to develop some of these Xbox assets that they have in these franchises and let them do it. And it picks up the slack. It builds in the gaps where they have those gaps. I think it's a no-brainer. And Xbox got more than enough money to say, hey, here's the keys. We own the franchise, but you develop it and you have fun with it.
I love that. It would be slightly hilarious, and I would be right up there making fun of it because Xbox bought 7 million studios and then rented out one of their IPs to a third party. I would chuckle at that. I would get great joy. But I do love that idea. So I'd also be very happy.
What was that one game they announced last year? What was called Contraband? And it was like that game where they showed the map and they were like in a garage and like, oh, that's a game that's not even by one of their studios, but it's a big game they announced too. So to your point, it's like, wait, you're showing us a game that you don't even own, but you know what? Get us games on Xbox. I don't care how they happen. Make something cool, and people want Banjo, and I think they're really willing to get it however they can get it. Moving on to Nintendo, lastly, Game Boy Advance added to NSO because I don't know if Nintendo really even cares, to be honest. I mean, I've heard rumors and things like that, but this would make so many people very happy because there's so many cool games on that system. And I know people love the Game Boy Color, but Game Boy Advance had some fantastic games, and they look beautiful. They're not monochrome, and they will play beautifully on a Switch screen.
Yep. When I said Game Boy earlier, I meant the full Game Boy collection, including Advance. Yeah, from Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Because I think the next year they could do Game Gear. Otherwise, I would say they'd break up Game Boy and Game Boy Advance into two separate years. But I think they could bunch that up and make it two separate kind of handheld years on Switch Online to get you again to re-up. So there we go. I like that.
Okay. That's because that's different. So I was thinking at minimum, I think they would go like Game Boy first, Game Boy Color, and they dip in like and just milk it. But
I have to wait 3 years for Game Boy Advance games. I'm gonna flip a table. So, man.
Well, come on. That's why I'm saying I would be mega excited because Game Boy Advance was the first handheld I ever owned, and I love that system. Except mine was the original, not backlit, hard to play, especially when I'm on a plane going from Korea to North America. I've got all those AAA battery or AA batteries. I'm like, do I have enough batteries? How do I charge this thing? So that was a tough road to hoe, but I loved those games, and I had the Tony Hawk Advance game, and I thought that was damn cool.
Oh, that was a great game.
Yeah, the purple Fusion GBA that I even bought my wife a pink GBA, to be honest. So there you go, Mark. Who knew I was so cool?
That's great.
Lastly,
yeah,
this is once again, this is what I want to see, but it'll never happen. Eternal Darkness remake coming from Remedy Studios.
Oh, okay.
Because the studio that made this game no longer exists. The guy who makes it is a weirdo. But it's a Nintendo exclusive from the GameCube that apparently they just don't even acknowledge it exists. But it's a groundbreaking game. Very cool, very advanced. And Nintendo isn't afraid of mature games on the Switch any longer. So I'm like, you know what? Bring in Remedy, who is a third-party studio who doesn't mind. And this they don't mind doing things like this. And they make games similar to this. This makes me think of Control and just the mind skewing and the gameplay elements. And I think they could really make justice to this game and make people love it and realize that this is a game that Nintendo really was above and beyond and at the level of PlayStation for delivering a cool experience like a Metal Gear Solid where they played with your mind and different things. So I would love this.
That'd be great. Yeah. I'm in.
All right, Mark. Did we miss anything?
One more.
Oh, we do?
A wild card.
Oh, my goodness. I almost forgot about that.
So if you need some time to think of your wild card, I'll throw mine out there because I have one locked and ready to go. So I think we are going to get our first look at Assassin's Creed Infinity. We're going to get a little bit of gameplay, but mostly they're going to focus on a cinematic trailer, that kind of stuff, like hyping up what the game's going to be. But we're going to see the direction. We're going to see the large vision of what this game is going to be and what this experience is going to be. And we're going to get that tease. It's not coming out this year, maybe not even coming out next year, but I hope it does. But we're going to finally get I hope you're enjoying
the future of Assassin's Creed.
We love that you're picking up the DLC. We hope that you enjoy, where this is going, how fantastical this was, and blah blah blah. But here's a look at what's next, and we're going to get that from Assassin's Creed. And I think Ubisoft's going to do that for their own thing, but I think they could even partner with Xbox and have part of the announcement there, and then maybe focus big gameplay focus. They've done that in the past. Announce here's a teaser trailer on the Xbox showcase. Tune in, next week for the Ubisoft thing, or tomorrow for the Ubisoft thing, where we're going to be showing in-depth gameplay or talking to the developers about this. So I think this is going to be like the summer of Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Nice. Ubisoft Forward, I believe, is their event. So yeah, that could be a combination, because I know Xbox needs some bangers, needs some big things. So that could make sense that they're going to bring on people that will create some synergy, companies, whatever. Even if they're not showing everything at Xbox, at least that's the buzz that's around it, and they associate with Xbox. Makes total sense. And mine is going to be also Ubisoft related, and this is. This is like Black Sails. What was the game that they announced, the pirate game that wasn't Assassin's Creed but never Lost Sails?
What's that called? They just showed something off about that.
Okay, so
Skull and Bones, isn't it?
Got it. So yeah, Skull and Bones. So that's not mine though, but it's one of those things where it's like Ubisoft has some things to show because they've held some things back. But I think my wild card is that Ubisoft is going to formally cancel the Beyond Good and Evil that we have been shown and say, you know what? We're going to give you what you really want, which is Beyond Good and Evil 2 for realsy, and we're going to make it essentially a sequel to exactly that game. That's not weird and crazy, but a girl and her pig uncle having crazy adventures in the press media game and just having a good time, because that's what I want. I love that game so much. And all we've gotten is really weird game, and the creator left, and I don't want it to end up in a heap, with those Atari 5200 or Atari 2600 ET cartridges, Mark. I don't want that.
I think in order to get people hyped for that, if they do that, they need to re-release the first one.
Oh, like a proper remaster, not like something that feels like it's dated from PS2. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think if they're starting over from scratch, like you said, like I think they need to do that. Honestly, even if they're going in the direction that they were going with, I think they need a remaster or remake or something to get people hyped about that. Like, I don't think it's
a niche game.
Minds, right? Like it's
like the Prince of Persia like reboot that's a remaster that's supposed to happen. And it's like, I totally agree. That game needs to come out and wow people because that franchise really needs to come back. And same thing with Beyond Good and Evil. And that was a niche game to begin with, a critical darling, a cult favorite. But to your point, Mark, they need to get this game in people's minds of what it was and why it was great and why people want it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, with Prince of Persia, like they obviously need to go back and rework some models. It hardly even looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
So weird.
Like it's not just joking. That movie was terrible. But
no, they're just going to make it look like Jake Gyllenhaal. That's what you really want, Mark.
That is 100% what I want with every game. Actually,
a sick soul patch, like a certain co-host had.
Jake Gyllenhaal pretending he's Egyptian. That is, or Persian, or whatever. Prince of Persia. And I said Egyptian because I'm an idiot. That's always what I want is Jake Gyllenhaal pretending he's Persian. That's
all we want.
Give that to me.
And I want a game where Bluey stalks Mark and secretly wants to kill him.
That seems to be my life right now.
Yes. Turn into the video podcast to see Bluey. And if you see Bluey, you win points.
Bluey points. They're, you can turn those in for Bluey prizes.
Timbits that Mark will send you through email.
I will send you an email full of Timbits.
There you go. Perfect. Yep. Okay, well, we are excited. We're probably going to be talking about these events all summer long. Hopefully they'll make us happy rather than sad, and we cannot wait. So with that, always, folks, let us know what you've been playing, been excited about the world of games, and your favorite and worst moments from E3's past. So, Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, pretty much everywhere as _Canardian. But if you're looking for me to play some games with, if you want to hook up that way, just find me on Switch and Xbox at Canardian.
Excellent. You can find me at Toxtra, where I am trying to keep the world on its toes and have fun. That's about it. And if you want to game with me, I really could find people to play Evil Dead with me. So you can find me at Spartyon98 on PS5 and Spartyon1998 on Switch and Xbox. And that is it, folks. Thank you for joining us. Mark, thank you for being the best co-host in all of Canadian land.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, yes. And folks, remember, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.